Welcome to Morg City, a place of corruption, shadows and sin. A city drenched in noir vibes, ancient curses and eldritch horror. This is Shadows of Evil, and in today's video we'll be breaking down every last secret, every mechanic, every chilling line of dialogue and every moment of brilliance that Treyarch laced into this masterclass of map design. Now, whether you're a zombies veteran or someone hearing about the apothecans for the first time, this video will open your eyes to just how dense and genius Shadows of Evil truly is. Morg City is a fictional metropolis heavily inspired by 1940s Chicago and New York. Noir crime, jazz clubs, political corruption and occult influence. Originally designed as a love letter to film noir, everything is layered with grit and mystery. The streets split into four main districts: the Canal, Footlight, Waterfront and the Spawn area, with each district having its own architecture, music, layout and hidden secrets. The city is infested by the effects of the apothecan infection, though civilians appear to be gone. The tram system is unique to this map, used both for transport and lore purposes. Every inch of Morg City oozes intention, from the posters advertising magician shows to the scribbled chalk messages. This is a city that once thrived, before being consumed. Now, with any other zombies map, the iconic characters. Nero Blackstone, the magician accused of murdering his wife, cowardly and arrogant. Floyd Campbell, a boxer, took bribes to throw matches. Jessica Rose, a burlesque dancer, used seduction and blackmail to kill a producer. And finally, Jack Vincent, a corrupt cop, took bribes and murdered informants. These four souls have sinned, and they have been marked, now trapped in a apothecan pocket dimension, forced to atone through violence, chaos and blood. Each character starts in their own ritual location tied to their post. Their intro sequences, in first person, are unmatched in style and tone in all of zombies. Shadows of Evil introduced the apothecans, ancient creatures that once ruled the universe. They were banished to the dark ether, and now they're attempting to return via corruption of dimensions. Morg City is such an infected reality, a trap created by the Shadow Man to feed the apothecan gods. Now the Shadow Man is your narrator, and your enemy. The Keepers, which are beings of light, oppose the apothecans, but are weakened. Zombies isn't just about rounds, it's a cosmic war, and this map was the opening move. Similar to Mob of the Dead, this map brought a brand new afterlife style mechanic. However, you turned into a beast. This mechanic let you power up key areas, grapple to hidden locations, and shot control boxes to open doors or perks. You could even smash crates to summon the ritual items for the Easter egg. You're not just playing as a human, you're tapping into something far darker. The beast is your curse and your key. Strategic use is essential in early rounds to open Pack-a-Punch ASAP. Each beast altar has limited use per round, creating tension and planning. Upgrading the sword also uses this mechanic. Instead of just turning on the power, you have to perform dark rituals. Each one requires collecting a character item like the detective's badge or the belt, unlocking the ritual area with beast mode and surviving a summoning circle sequence. Once all of these rituals are complete, including the final one at the Pack-a-Punch chamber beneath the city, you unlock not just the Pack-a-Punch, but deeper parts of the lore. There were other new mechanics added to this map. Gobblegums make their debut, offering random perks that change how you approach the game, fumigators to harvest pods for random loot, and the Magua boss zombie, a three-headed terror that tests movement, ammo conservation and coordination. Finally, they added the Civil Protector, a powerful ally that you can summon for support. This complexity makes this map divisive, and new players drown in that, but veterans see it as a challenged playground. Now, the lore of Shadows of Evil is wild. This isn't just a self-contained story, it's the foundation of the entire Apothicon Keeper mythology. That drives this Black Ops 3 Zombies saga. The Shadow Man, voiced by Robert Picardo, is the true villain, posing as a guide, but slowly revealing himself as a manipulative Apothicon. The rituals you perform, you think you're freeing the characters, but you're actually releasing him. The underground chamber, that's not just the Pack-a-Punch room, it's an ancient Apothicon temple, revealing the war between the Keepers and the Apothicons. You'll also hear mentions of the Dark Aether, ancient artifacts and fractured timelines, concepts that carry over directly into Rise and Drac, Revelations, and even into Cold War zombies. Shadows of Evil is the origin point of the narrative era. From a gameplay perspective, Shadows of Evil offers unmatched strategic depth. You've got 3 main training spots: the Canal Bridge, the Footlight Stairs, and the Rift area by the Pack-a-Punch chamber. And the train system lets you fast travel across the map, crucial for evading clutch situations or keeping the tempo up in high rounds. The weapon variety is excellent: the ray gun, the HVK, the KRM for warbuys, and of course the Apothicon Servant, the wonder weapon. In my opinion, one of the most overpowered, satisfying weapons in zombies history. But here's the catch: everything is gated behind the Easter egg steps. The complexity means casual players often never even see the full map opened, but that's why the replayability is so high. Every match feels like progression, unlocking new areas, optimizing beast routes, getting faster at rituals. It's really, really satisfying. Shadows of Evil isn't about instant gratification, it's about mastery. Now, let's zoom in on how the early game actually plays out in Shadows of Evil. The first few rounds are critical. Every move that you make in those early minutes sets the tone for the rest of the game. A common beginner mistake is treating this map like Origins or Kino. Open doors, get a gun and kill zombies. But here, you have to optimize beast mode usage from the jump. You get 1 per round per player, and that means you have a limited time to smash crates, zap power boxes, grapple to rooftops, unlock your ritual rooms and grab their character items. The best players will map this out in advance, and if you're solo, you'll likely need 4 rounds minimum to open all rituals, unless you really know how to chain your beast rooms. You also need to prioritise points. Instead of wasting your money on warbuys, grab the fumigator, hit the purple pods, and knife zombies in rounds 1 to 2. It's a strategic puzzle, and every route has its trade-offs. At its core, Shadows of Evil is about sin, guilt and punishment. The 4 playable characters aren't just flawed, they're damned. They've committed selfish, violent acts, and they're all now stuck in this interdimensional purgatory. The map itself reflects that. The city is empty, no civilians, just corrupted souls. The rituals aren't heroic, they're sacrificial, feeding energy to something darker. The Shadow Man promises freedom, but manipulates you every single step of the way. There's a heavy Lovecraftian influence too. Madness, ancient unknowable gods, and the idea that humanity is just a pawn in some cosmic war. Even beast mode can be read symbolically. You're giving up your humanity, becoming a monster to make progress. It's fast, powerful, destructive, but alien. And it reflects the temptation of power and the cost. Now, let's link Shadows of Evil to the wider Zombies universe. You might think this is a side story or a spin-off, but it's not. It's actually the beginning of the Apothicon vs Keeper war, which runs through the rest of Black Ops 3 and into Black Ops 4. The Shadow Man, he's a corrupted Keeper, once part of a race that maintained balance across dimensions. The Apothicons, eldritch horrors who were banished into the Dark Aether. Morg City, just one of many corrupted realms that they were trying to consume. The Keepers appear as floating, angelic beings in this map, but in later entries like Revelations, they become central to the battle between good and evil. If you complete the Easter egg in Shadows of Evil, you're helping Keepers capture the Shadow Man, and you hand over the summoning key, which directly sets up the Giant, Drak, and eventually Revelations. So yes, this map is absolutely essential to the canon. Now I'm not going to do a step-by-step guide here, but let's talk about the Easter eggs concept. You complete all the rituals, collect the gate worms, and use them to open a rift between dimensions. And eventually, you summon the Shadow Man into a central battle, where he becomes vulnerable only after powering 4 Keepers with electricity and the Apothecant Servant. What's interesting is that the Shadow Man's demise isn't really an ending, it's a trade-off. The Keepers don't destroy the summoning key, they take it, and that object becomes central MacGuffin for the rest of the zombies storyline. It's the link between dimensions, the source of power, and the item Richthofen uses to try and fix the fractured multiverse. Now I'd love to take a second to talk about the audio design in this map, because it's phenomenal. The background music is subtle, jazzy noir tracks twisted into minor keys, layered under foghorns, creaky signs, and monster wails. The Margwa scream is one of the most iconic audio cues in zombies history. It hits your gut. Voice acting is fantastic in this map. Jeff Goldblum as Nero, Heather Graham as Jessica, Neil McDonough as Jack Vincent, and Ron Perlman as Floyd. They don't just read the lines, they inhabit their characters. Each line is full of regret, ego, fear, or even denial. And even the gobblegum machines and announcer voiceovers reinforce the twisted carnival vibe. It's one of the most atmospheric maps ever made. Without the soundscape, the immersion would fall flat on its face. Like any other zombies map that released first with a Black Ops Zombies game, Shadows of Evil was not universally loved. It got flack for being too confusing for new players, there were too many steps before you could even pack a punch, over-reliant on beast mode, and the lack of nostalgic characters like Dempsey or Richthofen. But most of this criticism came down to the expectations. People expected classic zombies, and what they got instead was a reinvention. Over time, the community learned to appreciate its depth, and now it's often grouped with the greats, Origins, Mob of the Dead, Drak, but it took years for that appreciation to settle in. It's a map that demands patience, curiosity, and replays. It's not just casual zombies, it's a hardcore zombies mode disguised as an Art Deco horror. So you've probably heard me mention the Shadow Man quite a lot throughout this video, but who actually is he? The Shadow Man is a former Keeper, part of a race that once maintained cosmic balance, but he was corrupted by the Apothecant and banished to the Dark Ether. Over time, he became their emissary, travelling through fractured timelines to manipulate events and open new dimensions for the Apothecants to invade. In the context of the multiverse, Shadows of Evil is one universe where he's trying to tip the scales, and Revelation is the final confrontation between him and the Primus crew. The summoning key is the device that lets him transcend space and time, and it's no coincidence that it appears in nearly every map afterwards. Fans have theorised that the Shadow Man is the true architect behind all the chaos in the BO3 and BO4 era, that he's not just working for the Apothecants, he is one, or maybe even the Dark Ether's given form. Whatever he is, his presence casts a long, eerie shadow over the entire zombies mythos. I'd actually like to pivot to something unique about this map. How Shadows of Evil plays with gender and symbolism. Jessica Rose, the female character, is more than eye candy. She's a central part of the story. But it's not all about control and consequence. Her ritual takes place in a burlesque club, a space drenched in red light, mirrors, and decadence. It's theatrical, but also deeply tragic. The club symbolises illusion, performance, and broken identity. Jessica uses her appearance to manipulate, but ultimately ends up manipulated herself. More broadly, Morg City is full of sexual and emotional tension. In the posters, the venues, and even the music, it channels that classic 1940s vibe of temptation and vice, and it mirrors the core theme of Shadows of Evil. Sin always comes at a cost. Whether it's lust, greed, violence, or betrayal, this map constantly reminds you that someone is always watching, and someone always pays. Now, if you're a hardcore zombies fan, you've probably noticed something familiar about Shadows of Evil. It's essentially the Mob of the Dead formula, but reimagined through a noir cosmic horror lens. Think about it. 4 sinners trapped in purgatory, a manipulative guide, the Weasel versus the Shadow Man, a closed-loop ritual mechanic, and a map drenched in symbolism, decay, and punishment. Both maps ask the same question. If someone is truly damned, can they ever be saved? Mob is about accepting the guilt, and Shadows is about being tricked into repeating it. Treyarch knew what they were doing here. Shadows of Evil is a spiritual successor, but with more narrative depth, higher stakes, and a more chaotic interdimensional twist. Let's jump into the rabbit hole of cut content and things that never made it into the final map. There were originally multiple scripted lines for characters that imply alternative story outcomes, like Floyd showing remorse, or Nero trying to break the cycle. However, most of these were scrapped. Early trailers of this map showed a version of Beast Mode that looked way more demonic, with longer cooldowns and different animations. There's evidence in the files of a 5th ritual location, probably scrapped due to pacing issues, and some players data mined alternate versions of the Shadow Man, hinting at different boss phases or even voice filters. We'll never truly know exactly what was cut, but the leftovers suggest that Treyarch had even bigger ideas than what we had seen. So, what did Shadows of Evil really do for zombies moving forward? Everything. It had laid the foundation for the Apothecon vs Keeper war, which drove the rest of Black Ops 3. It established the use of cinematic intros with licensed characters, and it brought in an RPG-style complexity with puzzles, hidden weapon parts, and upgrade paths. It pushed the aesthetic boundaries of what zombies could look and feel like. The Rise and Drac built directly on its lore, and Revelations literally reuses the environments. And in Cold War, you can feel its influence in everything from Outbreak's dimension hopping to Forsaken's mythic tones. Shadows of Evil sets the tone. It proved zombies could be more than just a bonus mode. It could be an experience. So now that we've walked the blood-slick streets of Morg City together, here's the real question. What is Shadows of Evil? Is it just a map? A set of rituals and beast mechanics and apothecons? Or is it something more, something darker, something deeper? At its core, Shadows of Evil is a character study, a psychological dive into guilt, ego, and self-destructure, with each character representing a different sin. Jessica being lust and manipulation, Nero, pride and exploitation, Jack, violence and ego, Floyd, rage and desperation. None of them were good people, and that's the point. This isn't a redemption arc, it's a punishment cycle. They were used, disposed of, and ultimately trapped. It's tragic, it's noir, it's classic zombies, only elevated. Visually, Shadows of Evil still stands tall as one of the most aesthetically cohesive maps ever made. Every neon sign, every flicker of lamplight, every square inch of Morg City feels like it means something. It's beautiful and broken, a world stuck between glamour and decay, just like its characters. This wasn't just a map, it was a statement. Treyarch wanted you to feel something here, to feel lost, small, caught in something bigger. Shadows of Evil didn't just push the zombies formula forward, it tore it open and let something ancient crawl through. It was scary, complex, frustrating, and brilliant. It asked you to pay attention, to think, to experiment. It didn't care if you were ready. It expected you to evolve. and that's why we're still talking about it many years later. Across countless uploads, breakdowns, fan theories and nostalgic replays. Because Shadows of Evil isn't just a zombies map, it's a clear, stark reminder that there's always something waiting behind the curtain, always a cost to sin, and always a shadow. If you've made it this far, guys, I want to thank you, and I hope this video gave you something new to think about, feel, or even remember. If you've enjoyed this deep dive, drop a like and leave your memories of Shadows of Evil in the comments. Subscribe for more breakdowns of the greatest zombies maps in histories, and if you're feeling brave, load up Morg City tonight. The Shadow Man awaits you.